Alright friends, while Bannerlord is back and better than ever, it's also harder to navigate the early stages of a campaign. The map is just crawling with hostiles, enemy archers are even more deadly than before, and many changes also make it more challenging to make money.
Stop that. Who are you?
In this short series, I'll show you how an experienced Bannerlord player navigates the early game, collects a bunch of dinars, and help you dominate. We'll just end one recording and begin another one here. So welcome back again, friends, to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. Our YouTube channel is dedicated to all things Bannerlord related. Welcome back to 1.31. We continue to explore the new beta, and we're doing so in this case with a bit of an unusual campaign. We're going to have a mostly Javelin campaign. We have just gone independent with this fella here, Rage. It's not Raj. I know a lot of guys want to say Raj. We're calling him Rage. We're building up some companions at range so that we can rage. And we're at war with these three kingdoms. These just basically transferred over. I have no idea why we're at war with Sturgia, and I don't have enough influence to really change anything. So what do you got to do first? Well, we got to punch our opponents in the nose, gain a little bit of influence here, and start to flesh out this kingdom. We're going to do a little bit of the maintenance in between here, and I may not edit much of this, right? We've got this Juggernaut throwing character, and one of the things I want to start doing is shifting a couple of his, let's see how we're going to do this, a couple of his companions towards throwing. So I'm trying to think if it's her. First, we got to identify their skills, right? So let's go to the character page here. I think we have one or two companions that shoots a bow that has more throwing. Yeah, she's not really going to be someone we can power level. She only has one perk point. I thought, here we go. This is the guy. So Kanar the Falcon is going to transition during this episode towards a thrower, right? We're going to take away his bow. We're going to level up his throwing skill in this episode, because if we're going to do a Javelin army of 80%, 70, 80% Javelin throwers, we're going to reduce the amount of archers we have. We need less archer captains and more infantrymen, right? So he's going to be a Javelin thrower. And let me think here what we want to do. So good philosophy with early fledgling skirmishers is to give them sword, shield, two javelins, 2 stacks of javelins, right? Preferably good javelins if you have them, that goes without saying, but a nice big defensive shield, like a Pavis shield. It looks stupid, but he's protected, right? And he'll duck and throw a javelin, hide behind his giant barn door, kind of like our main character, right? We've got a couple stacks of Jareeds, and we're going to eventually have at least 2, probably 3 javelin throwing captains, right? So we're going to have to transition these guys from archers to javelins. Fortunately, that control line shares the same attribute point. Now, this process here also, I'm probably going to walk you through this. First, we need to strip our wife here. We're going to strip our wife. We're going to take away some of her weakest troops, because we're about to venture out into the deep ocean. And there's all kinds of sharks, all kinds of predators out there. We need to make sure that we have our knife. We need to make sure that we have eyes in the back of our head to make sure that we don't become prey. So even though this is going to weaken the garrison and make it likely that it gets sieged, that's okay, right? We're going to be able to respond to sieges because we're not going to go a long ways away from Asgard to start. We're going to try to add a castle or two. And it's basically a step process, especially at war with both the Aserai and the Southern Empire. They're going to be sending forces, right? Although, in the short term, at least for a while, they're also at war with each other. So we kind of have this three-way shooting at each other, and hopefully we can make some gains here. Now I want to expand the size of our roster here, the size of our maximum capacity. Where's the other one? There's another one. One of these boosts, I don't think it'll affect this though. It's either clan tier 4 or clan tier 5, and it basically increases your army size as well. Damn it, where's this thing? It's called like retinues. I don't know why I can't find it. It seems like it moves around. There we go. Wow, see, it's clan tier 5 only. We're clan tier 4.8 or something like that. So let's do that eventually. Let's do this one in the short. Well, I look like an asshole here. This is what happens when you narrate an episode live. You play it live. We need a little bit more influence, and then we can do that policy. But that's going to allow us to increase the size of our army. In the near term, it's probably best if we take some of the scrubbiest troops here from these weak units and add some solid troops, right? We're going to have recruits in our army no matter what. We just don't have an elite force. We got 400. There's 130 in the garrison. So Asgard is very likely to be sieged. So we're in a hurry here. Frankly, we need to rush up there and siege Medeni. Although, if you remember, the Southern Empire, we're just sieging it, right? And if I say you remember, I just saw it happen. I'm playing these nonstop. You may have seen it yesterday. And here's the army, right? Regea, she's coming down here to teach us a lesson. Well, unfortunately for her, she doesn't know that we wrote the fucking book. We wrote the curriculum, so she's going to teach us a lesson on our own curriculum, I guess. Come get some, right? In fact, I don't want her to fight. There we go. I don't want her to attack Asgard. It'll just slow us down. I want to fight right here. That way we don't have to run down to Asgard. Right after we smack her around, we're going to run over to Medeni Castle, which is just north of us, I think. Now, this is nice. This is free troops, but to get it, you have to have space. So let's go ahead and dump. We can dump a bunch of troops on our wife here. We're stripping her and dumping stuff on her. You know, it's the medieval era. Women were treated horribly. All right, so we get free troops here. Sweet. This guy's quest, whatever. We'll take some troops. We just need numbers right now, right? We'll take every single cook and stuff like that, because this looks like 600 plus. However, we probably have 150 tier 5 units in our army. Maybe not quite that many, 125. We're going to obliterate this force, right? This force of Southern Empire with vanilla. The forces are so weak that I'm just going to wade right through. We're going to barrel right in here. Now, we're still going to do these perks, right? You need to do these perks before critical battles. If nothing else, so that you have 10, 20, 30 less casualties, right? We want to kill as efficiently as possible. We're definitely going to do tactics. In all practicality, if you just F1, F3 this battle, you would lose. But maybe if you ran around with your character, you see it's almost an even battle. If you ran around and killed 30 or 40, you might be able to swing it. Well, hopefully for those fellas who are still F1, F3 or sergeants in control and then, you know, fighting on the battlefield, hopefully we can continue to show the dynamic power of tactics in Bannerlord. I don't have any idea what the landscape is going to look like. That's part of the reason I wanted to do this campaign. Down here by Asgard, yeah, I mean, we're in the desert and it's delicious, right? What it is it's terrain galore, hills, and there's a ridge. It's kind of an undulating ridge. We'll have to get over there and look at it, but we're going to be able to make it work, right? There's pockets and valleys to hide archers. Reverse slope decline, here we come. That's going to be tasty. All right. So let's see here. 3rd Division, there's a mix of peasants and shock troops. That's okay. There's even a few of those idiotic blades or whatever they're called. The terrible mercenary with a giant helmet and no armor and no fucking shield. The 1st Division looks good. That's going to be very capable. 6th Division is actually our best infantry, and that's been the case throughout this campaign. I'm just kind of rolling with that fact. It's basically, it's got more high-end troops, and so we're just kind of rolling with it. 2nd and 3rd Cavalry, or 2nd and 8th Cavalry. We've switched the 3rd Division into a shock troop division to augment that 2nd Division, and 8th Corps Rage will lead, right? So that's going to be our best cavalry with the Asarai in particular. That means lots of javelin throwers, which is perfect because he's going to augment those guys beautifully. The only skill he doesn't have to help them with is polearm. You know, when they start swinging their swords, he helps. When they throw their javelins, he helps, but he doesn't have polearm skill. Maybe at some point or other, we'll get him an Avliaton for a couple battles and power level his polearm skill. Now, I'm looking at these ridges, and I'm actually going to study them a little bit more. I guess in a way, this is a lesson for those fellas trying to learn how to use peekaboo ridges. We got some time here. I've got 60 seconds before the enemy crests that ridge. This is what you want to see. See how you can't see our troops on the other side there? That's a pretty good peekaboo ridge. Now, the back end of it, this ridge here, limits our space. So we're going to have to operate quickly and move quickly once we set up units. Let's have everybody just stop because they're confusing me here. And we're going to start to form formations on the opposite bank of that ridge. Those guys actually might be vulnerable. We may have to move them. Skirmishers, horse archers in the 8th Division over here. Right, 6, 7, 8 is pretty easy to remember. On our right flank, every single battle. I'll probably feed the enemy a square here. They have a huge amount of infantry. 460 infantry. That is incredible. We're not using the battle size mod. This is just a normal battle, and half the units on the field are the enemy infantry. Now, that's partly because they have hardly any cavalry, right? This actually favors us. The more infantry, the better. Our guys are just going to be able to tear apart this infantry as it comes in. I keep looking at it. 460. No shit. Okay. Well, it's 460. Soon to be carcasses rotting in the sun here. And the buzzards, if they're not coming already, someone should tell the buzzards to come get over here. It's about to be a feast. All right, so 2nd, 3rd, and 1st are over here. We also have the 8th Corps, very temporarily. I put them there because I'm not sure that side's going to be able to hold if the enemy pours over with cavalry. We'll still be able to move the 8th Corps. Now, the cavalry's coming in over here on the right, but I'm just not worried about it. Look at that fucking archery fire. The skirmishers are just shredding everything. Of course, Rage here is throwing his javelins right through shields, right? So just everything he throws his javelin and hits, it insta-dies. I can just aim for the massive units and they die, right? Whatever I hit. It's one-shot city. Now over here, they got a little bit of cavalry coming in, right? So we'll pull back with our 8th Corps, open fire. And our 2 different squares here, the 2nd Division, I forgot to tell you, was cavalry we dismounted. They are swarming the square to their own demise, right? They're getting 1 kill every, I don't know, every 10 or 15, and the screen flushes green, even though theoretically we're outnumbered here. This guy fucking owes me one. They're all eating shit now. We're getting comfortable with our mouse, right? We've been playing almost 2 hours now, and it's starting to show. The enemy's just getting completely shredded. A little bit of their infantry division is leaking out over here, so we can charge, right? The 1st, 3rd, and 2nd Division can all pour in. Over here, the 6th Corps is squeezing the enemy's hand and face until their eyeballs pop. The archers are completely out of the battle because they're over the ridge. And this was a textbook peekaboo ridge, right? The enemy just vaporized here. Now, I haven't seen the Empress. I keep forgetting that this is the Empress's army, but just like the Sultan's army that just insta-died, barely even pushed our army here, the leader's armies in Bannerlord, once you have some tactics, are just complete fodder, and they got decimated here. We'll pull over the ridge for the next wave as all their forces scurry away trying to survive. You hear him being shot to death on the way out, just getting shot in the back. And is that all the forces they have? 120? Well, we can swing up and just wipe them off the map. We basically just vaporized their whole force in one sally, and I think they're just gonna rout. Where's the Empress here? I want her head. Let's put her head right on the supply wagon. Is that her? Yeah, that's her right there. All right, let's kill this gal and move on. Now, I wish I had an axe here. I don't really have the right weapon. I'm probably not gonna be able to kill her when she's so heavily armored. She's got like a bodyguard here holding up a flag, helping her. I gotta be careful, I'm almost dead. Rage really seems to take a lot of damage. Almost as soon as I said it, I got stabbed in the face. Charge, now I really want to kill her. I'm irritated. Makes me look bad on the internet. Kill this bitch. And her army's been vaporized. It actually doesn't matter at this stage, right? I can fast forward it. The RTS mod is running, right? And we have had some success lately using it, right? She is just reeling here. I mean, they know they can't win, right? She's gonna fucking rout. Their army's decimated. Come get her. We'll just speed this shit up, right? You guys don't really give a fuck. I don't think I've ever heard that before. The Empress just cried. I was going to say cried like a girl. I don't know what she cried like, but she just, wow, right in front of us, she just routed off the battlefield. I mean, it was, you know, she's saving herself. But her army got obliterated here. And it's amazing. Look at this giant fucking javelin sticking out of my back. It's amazing the companions are surviving, but Rage gets mowed down. That's usually the other way around, right? Usually your companions get mauled. And your character survives. Well, I don't know. Rage is huge. He's the biggest asteroid. You know, he's a little bit of a Wazuban clone. Different character spec, though, right? He's going to be focused on javelins. Probably won't bother too much with polearm. Although, like I said, we might push a few points just to get a few of the perks for the cavalry. This is obviously not Wazuban, right? We're just going to be blowing through this campaign. How many episodes? Partly you guys determine that, right? Thumbs down. I mean it. Like, if you didn't like this episode or don't want to see more comment from this, thumbs down. I know that's bad for the algorithm. I don't really care. As long as you guys have a feedback method of telling me whether or not you want to see these videos, and of course, don't comment, right? I mean, I don't mean if you have a comment, don't put a comment, but you know, don't do the thing that loyal supporters typically do to videos when they want to see the channel grow, right? If these episodes aren't your bag of tea, I need to hear that. Otherwise, I'm going to make content you guys don't want. It's just like that restaurant you love and they take your favorite thing off the menu because they don't hear the feedback. So she's just fugitive. This is kind of new to me. If they run, they're not on the campaign map here. They're just gone. I'm looking around for her here so we can capture her. And she's fugitive, whatever that means. I picture her running around like Paul in Dune. She's hiding underneath a tent somewhere. But it doesn't really matter, right? Her force is mangled. And now we go to Medeni Castle. Now I'm looking at the minor clans here. In fact, what else do we have there? The Beni Zalal. I need some help here, or at least it would be good if we have some help. Eventually, we're going to have attrition issues, right? Because we have 3 armies. We have 3 little army parties here, and at least for a little while, we're going to be fighting 2 huge kingdoms, right? Much larger than ours. I think the Southern Empire has like 12 cities and a bunch of castles, and we have 1. We have 1 city, so it's David versus Goliath. But you guys are here for some underdog shit. You get it, right? Now, I don't actually mind that. Look at what's happening there. That's an Asteroid force raiding a Southern Empire force. Ironically, what do we got going on here? Decided to call to war. So there's other shit going on. The Sturgeons and the Aserai, and there's some other kingdoms doing their shit. Maybe that'll pull a little bit of activity out of here, but I presume Askar is going to be under siege and fast. What I want to do now is do a little circle here, find some troops. Let's go now, actually. We're at Medeni Castle. Let's just siege now. If Askar gets sieged, we can break off. But my rule of thumb here is if you get the siege camp built before the city is sieged, keep going. So it's going to take a couple days to build a siege camp because this is inexperienced for our army here. These guys are used to killing. All of a sudden, I'm like, yeah, cut those trees down. They're like, what? What? Yeah, go cut those trees down. Start building some stockades here. We need some fucking protective rings. Build some trebuchets. They're like, trebuchet? Is that what you mean? No, it's trebuchet, you dipshit. It's French. Build this shit. We got an event here I don't really care about. I guess increased seed progress. I think that's a good thing. We'll push that along. Okay, so that helps us a little bit. Build up a siege tent. But a rule of thumb here, like I said, if you get that building siege camp bar all the way full before your city in a situation like this is sieged, keep going, because we'll be able to take this castle and get back and defend Askar, right? 2 birds with 1 stone. If we have to break off here, it's really crushing to our momentum, because by that point, the Southern Empire's got more forces back here, right? And you treadmill your way into the basement. You've got to make 2 steps forward, 1 step back, not 2 steps back, 1 step forward. So it's painfully slow, but we're leveling up engineering skill. This is just a process. We got to build a couple trebuchets here, otherwise that fire catapult will immolate massive amounts of units. And we're gaining little things. We're gaining steward, we're gaining some engineer, and so will our little companion armies here too, right? They will gain some skills. This is like, going to trigonometry when you're smart enough to do calculus or something like that. You've still got to go through the steps. They don't just presume that you're good enough, unless, except in rare cases, you're just forced to do this. And here's exactly, this is what I meant. So how funny is this? They're trying to get to Askar, but we're in the way, basically. We're like blocking their path. I'm not quite certain how they don't go around. It looks like they're kind of wiggling their way around. And there they go. They had to kind of, the coding is trying to work its way around here. It's like terrified of us, right? We're this alpha male and they're taking as wide as berth as possible so that we don't reach out and fucking like a crocodile just kill them at the river. We'll handle them, right? Like I said before, if you get that siege camp built before the city's under siege, you're good for timing. We're for sure going to have enough time, right? Because not only do we have the siege camp built, but we could launch the siege any minute now. I'd like to get, actually this is going to go right here. We've got no enemy fire catapults, which is key. Minimize losses. And obviously we have a siege ram. That's enough in this case, right? The enemy doesn't have a huge amount of troops. A lot of guys might have launched this siege earlier, but then you lose 130 troops. I can't afford that right here, right? I've got to aim for 50 or under for casualties. Why? I also have to put a garrison here, right? I can't put 0 units here because then it's insta-taken by the enemy. So these little steps are important. Now, you also don't have to make your kingdom 1 day after becoming a vassal and taking a city either, right? We're playing this as fast as you conceivably can play, unless you do something just insane like level 12, declare yourself a kingdom, you're going to get completely obliterated. This, I think, is as fast as you can do it logically, right? Like, we have a realistic chance to succeed here. there, obviously, you could declare yourself a kingdom where there's 0 chance to succeed. You have 80 troops and no keeps, or as soon as you take a castle, you declare it. And I had a few guys sent in disaster of war scenarios. I had one guy send in a scenario, disaster of war, where he was like level 19 and he was clan tier 3 or something like that. Had almost no money and barely any troops, and he had declared war and was besieged by 2,000 by Durthert. I think he was Western Empire. And he had one city with like 112 troops and a mediocre army and bad captains. And I was like, I'm not going to try, but you cannot win that situation. There are some situations where you just put yourself in a box and Bannerlord. And the key would be to basically renounce your kingdom and go sign up with Durthert, right? Join his kingdom, because that guy... There are scenarios where you just simply can't recover, or more accurately, you can't push through. What the fuck? All of a sudden, I can't hit anything with my javelins. There are scenarios where it just will not work. Doesn't matter what you do. But we should be able to pull this off. I mean, it's going to be testy. We're definitely pushing as fast as you can here. But if we take this, let me rephrase. When we take this, right, we've got skirmishers up here now blowing the wall open. They're just getting melted. I'm going to go take a peek at the other ladder to make sure it's functioning. But we'll have a castle now in a city. And we've got a very powerful main army. That is numero uno key, right? We're going to be able, anything we encounter, for quite a while anyways, until we run into 1,000 or 1,200, we're going to be able to smash in the open field, right? We don't even have to wait in the city. We just smash them in the open field. So those guys are doing their thing. The ram is coming really slow. I might not even wait for it here. We're just blowing through this city. But we've also done things like stockpile food. We have a lot of money. And here's the thing. Unfortunately, as of the making with this 1.31, the diplomacy is not, the diplomacy system is not fleshed out. It's actually even more immature than the alpha, than 1.22. Sorry, dude. You stuck your leg out there. Your fault. And what I mean by that is, at 1.2, when you ask for peace in this situation, they demand a heap of money, right? Say I were to go up to the Asra right now, right? We've got 1 city, they've got 7. We've got no castles, they've got 6. Whatever it is, right? They're hugely outpowering us on every single bar. I cannot throw javelins here. We're gonna have to experiment here a little bit. Fucking kick that guy down the hill. This guy's so powerful, he kicks dudes down the hill. If I remember right, we'll put the Sparta! All right. I just love the death sounds. On my deathbed, I want to listen to death sounds from Bannerlord. At least I'll have a laugh before I die. They did a magnificent job with the sounds. We're overrun! And the best part, of course, is it's real time. So you can have a guy who's like, run! Everybody run! And if you kill him right in between it, he's like, run! Everybody! And maybe I'm just a serial killer in disguise. The FBI just hasn't found me yet, but I think that's hilarious. You basically have these audio cues that are realistic. And the best one, of course, is when they taunt you. I'll eat your... Now, hopefully I'm not screaming too loud in your ears. Apologies if I did so, but that's just fucking funny to me. Not everything I do trying to make you guys laugh. That's one of the keys, I think, to being a YouTuber, because it's sustainable. It's just be yourself, right? If you're out there, maybe you're a fledgling YouTuber, maybe you got a channel that's had ups and downs. If you're trying to be somebody else, it's not going to work, right? It's just like a relationship. If you're trying to be somebody else in a relationship, eventually you're not, right? You're going to get tired of being somebody else, or you're going to slowly morph back into yourself, and your wife is going to fucking notice. Oops, shit, sorry about this. Do this over again. So the best way to be a YouTuber or boyfriend, husband, wife, whatever it is just to be yourself and find somebody who accepts and loves you for that, right? Like, that's the key to happiness in life, quite frankly. If you're a woman or a man and you're sort of now, I don't mean the honeymoon stage, right? We're all a little nicer, a little bit sweeter. That's human nature. It's just like that first interview with the boss you're going to hate someday. You're like, how's it going, sir? It's nice to meet you, sir. You know, you're not going to go in there like, you pompous, stuck-up, fucking conceited sack of shit who's going to pay me as little as possible. You know, you have a honeymoon stage. But what I'm saying is try to be authentic as often as you can after after that initial stage. And for fuck's sakes, you young guys, do not get married 6 months after meeting a gal. I don't give a fuck how amazing she is. I guess if she's a billionaire and lays an ultimatum on you, like you get married with me today or we're leaving, or I'm leaving, I guess you marry her and you get a prenup and try to get some money and hope for the best. But 99.9% of other situations, I've got a 1 year rule. And I don't mean 1 year of knowing them. I recommend that if you guys are in a relationship, maybe you're 26 or 32 or I don't know, whatever it is. If you've met a gal and she, you think she might be the one, you're telling your parents, you're telling your friends, I think she's the one, or I think he's the one. I would recommend that you have them move in, or vice versa, move in with them, right? Basically, weave your lives together, move into their house, apartment, whatever, and then do a full year of seasons because, and it's just kind of common nature here. And I thought we had time for this. That's why I'm doing this big loop here, is to recruit all these troops, gather up all this food. Every single village, we're telling them, give us all your sons and daughters, because we need every single troop right now, right? We're gonna be hemorrhaging, fighting all these different battles. But that first year of living together, you will go through ups and downs. You will be shut in your house for 2 weeks, whether it's winter in Nebraska or a rainy season in some other country. Being together with somebody will basically prove whether or not you guys are sustainable for the long haul. Now, it doesn't guarantee 100 years or 80 years of happy marriage. Let's see here. Let's do two-handed. What it does guarantee, though, is that you avoid the automatic pitfalls, right? If you're one of the people that waited 6 years to get married, kudos to you. But if you're young and you're thinking about getting married immediately because you found an amazing woman and your head's full of fucking love, don't forget, or if you young guys maybe don't know this, when you have sex, when you start having basically intimate relationship with somebody, your brain is literally off the charts insane. You're not thinking, you're not rationalizing, you're not making good decisions. That doesn't mean that all of your thought process is wrong, but everything is rosy in the eyes of love, right? Love is blind, right? You go, that's used for something else, but it also makes you blind, right? It makes you basically overlook things that 5 years from now, you'd be like, oh shit, that was a red flag, right? You're heavily religious and she's an agnostic who just blasphemies all day. It's not going to work, right? So you need to live together for a year, in my opinion, to have a better chance of knowing of whether or not long-term success is likely with them. There's my little, I'll get off my soapbox, right? I'm trying to help some fellas out there, but there's my little 2 minutes of philosophy for this episode. Let's kill some fucks here. I mean, you see the power bar, it's almost equal. Now, there's a possibility that it's a defensive battle, and that's good, because we don't want to just have every single force charge us. Because you guys have seen that, right? With our defensive structure, defensive tactics, enemy has no chance when they charge us. They charge right to the center. They get devoured by our C formation, swan formation, reverse slope declines, etc. This is what a lot of people struggle with, right? So we'll try to do some advanced tactics here to fight an open field battle. It's always harder. That's the bottom line, because your archers have to move. Theirs are standing still, shooting at you the whole time. It's going to be harder. And we got to get this guy. This guy's a skirmisher. Eventually, we'll make him the leader of a division. We'll probably have 2 divisions of skirmishers, maybe the 1st and the 6th. I don't know if we'll have shock troops or not. I'm sort of still formulating the nature of this army. Palace guards are really powerful units, and shock troops, when used right, are devastating. But I think I just want a huge amount of javelins. All right, they are hiding. They've got a huge amount of infantry too. Let's see, I got to see this a little closer. It looks like they're mostly infantry, and they're still taking a defensive stance. It looks like, I think I'm seeing that right. Yeah, well, that's still not going to work very well for them. We're going to be able to shoot them from multiple sides. And let's get tricky here. We've got this nice river. We're probably going to be able to use the edge of it somewhere. In a situation like this, we have ranged superiority. So if I really wanted to string this out, we would just shoot them until they charged, and then it would be basically the same as a normal battle, where the enemy charges you and gets immolated in the center. But let's just assume they won't charge you, right? Let's just assume they have ranged advantage. We'll set up some units, but we're also going to try to flank and envelop one of their sides. To me, it makes sense that we would do our left side here, right? The left as we're facing them right now. There's some decent undulating hills over there to try to get line of sight. But also the right side might be pressed against the corner of the map, right? We're way towards the edge of the map here. Let's see what we do here. They got 21 cavalry over here. And they got a huge amount of infantry. And they have the whole mix, right? They do have archers. They just don't have very many. Now, we're going to slowly transition away from archers. Just like we're going to transition a few of our units from archers to javelin captains. We're also going to transition our army. Right now, it's probably an even mix of archers and infantry. Eventually, I want it to be 80%, 90% javelin, cavalry, and infantry. We'll have a smattering of archers. Right? You want to have archers. This is not going to be a purist playthrough. You want to have a few archers for siege defense, right? Even if you have 50. I'm digging the javelin ragdolls, right? These guys go flying, and it's so versatile. You just hold up your shield if you're being shot at, right? It's an amazing spec. And there's a lot of people, I think, who've never experienced 250 throwing skill, and that's a little bit like never experiencing a blowjob. Like, you need to go out and get one, find out somehow, make sure you've known her for a year. Actually, when it comes to stuff like that, needless to say, right, you young guys have a blast. Just remember that your head's going to go crazy. You start having fucking sex on a regular basis, and she's the one, right? You guys are going to go crazy. It's all normal. They make books about this shit. It's not like it's some crazy theory of my own. You get all kinds of brain chemicals that go haywire, basically. And there's a bunch that actually have to do with bonding. It makes you bond with people that maybe you've got all kinds of red flags and conflicts. You start having sex, and, you know, you're going to be... all those things go out the door. All right, so let's talk tactics again. We fell off our soapbox and we're right back on it here. We're taking a hard flank here on our left. I don't actually like the hills the closer I get here because those archers are going to be able to shatter us as we come over, but we do have a good ranged edge. We have almost twice their archers. The 6th Corps is here at the edge of the river, and that is mostly to repel cavalry, but there's a chance that they break and charge anyways, right, because we're going to do a lot of damage on their flanks. Now, 1st and 3rd. The 1st and 3rd can be used to roll up the enemy's right flank if they don't break off, right? If they force us to slam into them, these divisions will be helpful here. Their horses are sort of causing a mess here, and they are coming towards us. Interesting. Well, I tried to show you it. I can't control what the AI does here, so let's go ahead and just prepare to sandwich these forces. 8th Corps can charge those guys, and look at where they ran. They ran the wrong way. That does not work, right? The pointing and clicking at a unit does not work very well. They ran literally forward when the enemy I wanted them to attack is on the other side. So we'll kind of move them towards the enemy, and now we'll have them charge, right? Like, get in here. This is who I want you to attack. Now that river's going to help, right? The 6th Corps is chucking javelins across the river. We can start kiting over there. The enemy's like, oh, we got him. Wait, they're running. What do? We chase them? Yeah, that's exactly what I want you to do. Chase right into the river, dipshit AI. Now on the far side, that 1st and 3rd division can start pushing forward, right? I'll visualize it. I'll help you guys on that far side. We're going to start to envelop the enemy's right flank, but I also want to get on their archers. These fucking assholes. This fucking cavalry is really fucking with my plan here. Do what you're told. Damn, sometimes these units are so fucking stubborn. Donkeying up and shit. Irascible fucks. Alright, let's bring our 8th Corps in here. I've got the 2nd Corps following me. We can just sandwich these archers, right? All of a sudden they're like, wow, they get fucking crushed by cavalry on both sides. And of course, cavalry and Bannerlord are still pretty mediocre, right? You didn't see all the archers died. In fact, our cavalry's kind of getting in each other's way here. Now, we've got them sandwiched pretty well, but I kited the 6th too far back. They're going to take a hot minute to get here. So the 1st and 3rd are leading the charge. The enemy actually kind of split. They've got troops all over the place, which is fine. But it's harder to kill them as efficiently when they do that. The 6th Corps will just plow through whatever stragglers they run into, and the 1st and 3rd will hold out. We have a lot of infantry until the rest of our infantry get there. Here they come. Shields are flying everywhere. I would say to use javelin divisions really well, micromanagement is a must. I don't know if you picked that up there, but I held fire with the 6th. These fucking guys will stand there holding up their shield and javelin, looking for a target while the rest of their guys are cut down. I really think that you want your infantry doing the same thing, all the same thing, right? You either want them all throwing javelins, or you want them all charging and holding fire. Because otherwise they get all split up and they lose unit continuity. It's way more powerful to have 3 or 4 infantrymen all attacking the same target. You know what I mean? Where they're next to each other, because then that guy can't block. He's getting blasted by everywhere and he gets tag teamed than it is to have 3 of them. And similarly with javelins, when you have 30 guys throw javelins, everything gets hit and they get staggered and knocked back and the enemy starts to get mangled. I think it's a lot better to keep your divisions together. So it's just a little tip, and it's a lot of, I mean, it adds a lot to your tactical plate. Now, if you're micromanaging individual units, so the 8th Corps, in that battle, I was micromanaging the hold fire of 4 different divisions. So it's effectively 12 different things that I'm thinking about in addition to the enemy, all the terrain. I know it's a lot. You know, I'm going to keep talking about it because guys are picking it up. And even if you pick up 1 of the 10 things that I just said, makes you better, right? If you're a new player and you're watching, I'm sure you got something out of that battle. All right, let's see here. Go to town. Hey, we should be able to get this guy, right? We should be a clan tier 5 by now. Let's try to get this companion. I'm gonna add him. He looks like a javelin thrower. Damn it. I guess we're still not... okay, we're right on the edge of clan tier 5. Damn it. We'll get that soon enough. And once we're clan tier 5, we'll be able to add that guy. We'll get even more troops in our army. Now, in this very early stage of creating a new kingdom, we're going to have extraordinary challenges, and that's because of how early we went independent. This is not recommended, right? You fellas know that usually we recommend on the channel you have 2 or 3 cities, 2 or 3 castles. So 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6 fiefs. Well, we have 1, right? And we had to take a castle just to get our second one here. So we're going to have to show you some of the steps that I think are necessary to survive at this stage. We're not going to also abuse the system where we can just get peace anytime we want from these kingdoms. At least for a little while, we're going to leave it with war against the Southern Empire and the Aserai. And I'm going to sell some loot here. We're hugely encumbered. We're also going to buy some gear, continue to upgrade our companions, right? We need some gear for that hyena fella once we make clan tier 5. But we're also going to dump a huge amount of food on the city here. We're going to continue to put food both in the market and also in the stash. The main reason you got to do that is to prevent it from starving if we're away for an extended period of time. In this early expansion process, you're really kind of juggling, right? We're going to be juggling enemy armies here. We're going to be doing little things. I don't think we can afford to leave any governor. Our wife is running one of our armies. The rest of the units aren't very good governors anyways, so we'll just bring Festos the Boar, festering the boar into the party here. And we're looking to kill, right? We're essentially rounding up what I consider all the enemy fugitives here. We're going to get attacked. It's just a matter of how large the armies are and the frequency. So our job to offset that is to go to every village. God, we didn't even get 100 yards away from the city. Every village, recruit all of the troops we can, even the low-level troops, and start to build up garrisons. You could sort of think of this like treading water or climbing up a very difficult mountain where the slope is all ash. There's a local volcano. Most of you fellas may have heard of it. Mount St. Helens in Seattle, near Seattle, Washington. The last 1,000 vertical feet is pure ash. And you literally take a step up of 12 inches and you slide back 10 inches. It's like walking in quicksand. And it's very steep uphill. So it's a little bit what you do at this stage of a campaign. We're just trying to make very small incremental gains. In other words, try to make our army a little bit better, try to get a few more troops in the garrisons, as now both of our locations are under siege. And it's very much a slow and steady process. So what I'll say is the next hour or so gameplay, maybe hour and a half of gameplay, are going to be boring to the fellas who want to see huge battles and dramatic instances. Although, you know, this is a battle we definitely can lose, right? We can't afford to lose it, but this is a battle for sure. If you F1, F3, you lose. We can't afford to do that here. Now, let's see. We've got all our 8 divisions fleshed out. And we're going to have to get creative in these battles. The bottom line is we're badly outnumbered. We have some weak troops in that first division. We're going to talk about leveling troops because one of the things we're doing is we're going to be going to villages and demanding every single Aserai son and daughter to come fight for us while they're tier 1. Right? How do you level up scores or even hundreds of tier 1 units? Hopefully we could show you that in the upcoming battle and episodes. Not this battle, but the future battles to come. Now we're going to pull back here. I don't know if you can tell, but the enemy's boring in on us. Even though we attacked them in this situation, The reason they're doing that is because the AI has thrown all caution to the wind because they outnumber us almost 2-to-1. So very quickly going to make some defensive lines here. It changes everything when the enemy charges you. And again, hopefully we have some battles where we're attacking the enemy. Hopefully there's a nice bit of variety to these battles. That said, we're not going to do editing here, right? Unless these battles are wildly lopsided or so easy that we auto-resolve, we're just going to fight all these battles here. There are a lot of players that wonder how on earth you survived the early game of Bannerlord, and hopefully an experienced player here will be able to show you how to do so. This is 700 something troops. Our army's a little banged up from the previous battle, but it's a mix, right? We have, I was going to say it's attrition, but we also have troops upgrading left and right too. So on one hand, we're losing units to death, but we're also upgrading, which is why I talk all the time about the ratio of troops that upgraded to death. I like a 2 or 3-to-1 ratio. Anything above that, generally you're doing really well. But if you're killing more troops than you're upgrading, your army's collectively getting weaker. Now they are absolutely charging as hot and as hard as they can here. On this side, we have the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and a crossbow division ready to open fire. We're probably going to have a bifurcated army for a lot of these different battles here because one of the keys to fighting so many enemies is splitting up their forces. So start kiting back here. Their cavalry probably just charged. That's what all that death is. Indeed, way up in the corner there, the cavalry's just blasting through our ranks. Let's pull back our units here, sick our cavalry on them. Pull that 1st and 3rd back too. That infantry's got to help. Now the enemy is coming towards our right here, which is good. That's the way that I would prefer they come. We've got our best skirmishers right there. Let's pull them back. The 7th and 8th are ready to go here. Now I'll say this, if you do not have advanced tactics, these are still winnable battles, but they're going to be much, much harder. And this campaign may be much, much harder. When guys send me their disaster of war situation where they went independent with one city and they're getting crushed, more than likely they're not capable of doing very advanced tactics. And the difference is large, huge, huge difference. If you have mediocre tactics, or heaven forbid you're F1, F3, you cannot do this. You cannot go this early in a campaign. You just get captured and annihilated. We may lose this battle anyways, and of course if we do, then I get to show you the ultimate bad scenario, right? Where you're captured, your city's going to get taken, and we'll be down to 1 castle. Medeni will be all we have. But we have the enemy surrounded pretty fierce now. Our skirmishers have range. Our 4th and 5th division are firing at different angles. We've got some cavalry here sort of that we can use to run through their ranks. But it's still a huge amount of troops, right? All that wearing down, there's still 293 infantry there. We're going to have to get a little violent here with all these cavalry and infantry on the flanks. The 6th division will have to charge. And I've had these guys basically waiting, right? You want all these guys fighting together. You want the enemy sort of penned up and being shot on the other sides. One of the things we talk about all the time is trying to get it so that your infantry are attacking the enemy on one side and archers shooting on the other, right? That's how you get a death spam that looks like that because they're getting shot right where they have an opening, right? You see how it's in between the 2 different infantry divisions? So our archers are just flaying the center while our infantry attack a flank. Now their cavalry is menacing us here. We do have a cav line up there just playing defense, but they're going to get shot to death as well. This is a lot. Fuck. And they have good units, right? These are Aserai infantry, Aserai veteran infantry. We're starting to run into some problematically tough armies. Man, this is going to be a tight battle here. On both infantry wings, they outnumber us here. Kill them, boys. Now the archers, again, have a beautiful position. You see that shit? Right into the enemy's back. Those guys are being shot. They're trying to turn a few shields, but most of them are just taking fucking straight arrows up the bunghole. Or quote Beavis, if I had a little better voice for it. Take it for your bunghole. Now their archers are moved past our defensive guard. It's a bloody battle for sure, but we've got this one in the bag. Can interrupt a few of these guys while our infantry close here. Now, not a Pyrrhic victory, but a very bloody victory, right? Pyrrhic victory, if you've never heard of that term, basically stands for a victory where it's so bloody and so devastating to your side, to your kingdom, to your plans, that you can't continue the war, right? You basically have one. It's the proverb. There's 2 quotes in one, right? Pyrrhic victory, and then you've won the battle but lost the war, right? They're very much interconnected. Here, we've definitely suffered a lot of losses, but it's not catastrophic, right? I bet we'll have 80 deaths or maybe 100 deaths. and the rest will be injuries that will heal up. Is this more enemy forces? Fuck, well maybe I should have held that thought until the enemy was done sending troops. This is another army that's fighting to the death. We're used to enemies routing a little bit more readily than this. The morale system in Bannerlord is usually not super effective. It's usually not a big factor. Way long ago, before some of you fellas were born, I played the Total War series, and morale was incredibly important in the Total War series, right? If you could break the enemy's morale, just like real life, break their morale, and their enemy dissolves. Here, their fucking peasants and looters are fighting to the last man, and they're up here killing our fucking troops. You son of bitches. Reminds me of Vlad the Impaler, right? The ultimate morale crusher. Vlad the Impaler is where a lot of the Transylvania and Dracula legends come from, right? This guy was basically, I'm going to say Hungarian, that part of the world, Hungary, Turkey, north of that area, the Balkans. This guy was a warlord in 1400s, 1500s, something like that. And he became basically known for extraordinary ruthless combat. And not just ruthless combat, but ruthless propaganda. And I'll give you an example. He was being pursued by a much larger force. I don't actually remember who was pursuing him. Doesn't matter for the story. He's being pursued, and he went through a town of the enemy. I think it was the enemy, where he wanted to basically show the enemy how savage he was, right? Show them what they were up against. And he had his army impale tens of thousands of civilians. If you've never heard of the word impale or the process of impalement, that's where, you know, Vlad the Impaler comes from. Basically, you would pound sharp sticks, logs into the ground, sharpen an edge, and then force people's body over it, right? This is really horrific stuff. The people presumably wouldn't die all the time, just like Christ. They would effectively bleed out and suffer horrific sepsis and all kinds of other horrendous pain before they died days later, probably of dehydration, right? Of a loss of fluids. And he did this to thousands of civilians. In some cases, there were rumors that babies were impaled with their parents. So really horrific stuff. And it worked. The army that was pursuing him, they saw this. They said, God, I'm just disgusted. And they turned around. It's one of those examples of how psychological warfare can be just as powerful as actual warfare. Vlad the Impaler. The Transylvania stuff is probably just, that has grown like an urban legend over the course of years and years. They weren't sucking the blood of the enemy. He was notoriously brutal, right? He would routinely have people executed while he was eating dinner. There was all kinds of anecdotal stories to that effect, but it was part of his propaganda, right? This was part of, it's fear, right? If you're in a world where fear can help you, utilize it. And Vlad the Impaler was smart enough to do that. All right, so more just micromanaging here. What am I doing, right? Well, we're dumping a whole bunch of stuff in our stash here in Ascar. At some point or other, Ascar is going to be sieged for days, right? We'll have a garrison here of 500-600, and the enemy will siege it, where either we can't get back to it, or they just wear it down slowly. The citizens are going to start to starve. This is the easiest way to recover that, right? Oh shit, we've got so much loot here. I'm trying to lighten our load, but we just went to the local mercenary, or the local shopkeepers here, and emptied out wagons full of weapons. And they're like, that's it. We can't afford to buy anymore. Now we've got so much loot from all these battles. But you want to keep that there for two reasons, really. For that first scenario I just talked about, being sieged, but also at some point or other, you may get captured in a campaign like this, right? You may be trying some of the tactics we're showing here, an amalgamation of yours and ours, and it's hard. It's much easier to learn this organically, to do it on your own. Now, where is this guy here? Quab Lab. He's at Quab Lab. That sounds like where they made COVID. He's at Quab Lab. We're still trying to get some mercenary clans, if you're wondering why I give a shit about that guy. But at some point or other, right, you guys out there trying to amalgamate, trying to mix, that's a fancy word for mix, some of your own tactics with the tactics we show on the channel, that's going to be harder than developing them on your own. That's the bottom line. However, eventually you'll learn some that fit with your style of play, whether it's a Peekaboo Ridge, whether it's shield and shock with cavalry and shock troops, or splitting archer divisions, or whatever it is. And at that stage, I expect you guys just to take off with your tactical foundations, right? Some of the guys on the channel, of course, are at our level or above tactically. They're out there just ripping it in kill boxes and sharing pictures and whatnot on our Discord where they have 12 losses in big battles and stuff like that. But as a newer player, if you're watching this, it's a slow process, right? People don't learn to be experts in Bannerlord in a week. It's a very complicated game. There's a lot of shit going on. And it's not always easy to figure out what the fuck is going on or what you're doing is right or wrong. Now, I'd like to heal a little bit here. We have got 65 injured, and that includes some of our best troops. As we continue to start to shift towards javelin throwers over the course of this episode and the next episode, you're gonna let's send them back here. Let's do some positive quests. We're doing the quests because then the villages give you more troops. Obviously, right now our greatest need is troops. You're going to see me pick up every mercenary that agrees to fight for us, every single city that we go to. Every time we're going to pick up every single sword sister and mercenary pikeman. Every village we're going to get every single troop. I mean, I would buy 1,000 troops if I could. If it was like, would you like to buy 1,000 sword sisters for 500,000? Sure, we'll take it. And then we would quickly conquer the map. Anyways, you guys out there following along with this, if you're having a hard time with tactics, just understand that it's a process and it will get better. But if you get captured, make sure you got a bunch of horses, food, and decent troops in a city so that you can recover. Don't go independent this early, right? This is an extreme example kind of to show what is possible. But also I'm doing this to hurry through this campaign. I want to get some skirmishers. We're playing this campaign with our hair on fire. We're playing it in 6th gear. We're going as fast as we can here. Now let's do some leveling, right? Here's a whole division full of recruits. Now, what do you do, right? Well, the first thing we're going to do is protect them first from ranged weapons, but then from combat. They will go in later in this battle, and they will go in, hopefully, in a manner where the enemy's sort of rocked against the ropes and is swaying back and forth like a fighter that's about to go down. Then we'll send them in, right? The other analogy I like is wolves. Wolves will take their children out, and after the parents disable, like a baby moose or something like that, where it's no longer capable of killing their children, they will sort of nudge their little wolflings into battle and get them some experience. Get them, of course, they're getting food also, but get them that baseline experience and learning the process, right? Put your teeth right here, and blood comes out, and you get food. Now, that's effectively what we're going to try to do here with our low-level units. If you just charge up recruits, they won't score hardly any kills. They have to be towards the back. And because they're all precious to us at this stage, this process here is pretty necessary for us. You probably don't have to do this, right, in most of your campaigns. Now, this is interesting. Thought the enemy might attack because they outnumber us by 50%. Look up at the power bar. We're significantly favored to lose this battle, and the AI is still playing defensive. Well, that's much harder for us, right, because that means their archers are going to be entrenched. They're going to have divisions ready to counter us. And in order to get up to where they are, we're going to have to pursue them, right, and deck their lords. God, javelin skills just become so savage once you get to 250. You know, once you get a feel for javelins, it's unbelievable how powerful they are. Now, these fucks are moving just perfectly. Damn it, that's like 4 in a row. It's a thing, right? You're going to have to learn the nuances, and even though I've thrown 1,000,000 javelins, it's still easy to miss. We'll send our guys to attack. Since the enemy is going to take a defensive position, we'll just go to the javelin store here, pick up some of our spare javelins. But I mentioned earlier, right, you guys probably want to see some battles where the enemy's defensive. Let's show you one here. Now, we're still going to try to level up this scuzz, this tier 3 scuzz. We're not going to just get rid of that objective just because it's going to be harder, but we will have to take a different approach here. Have to get a little creative. Let's first see what they're doing here. Looks like, oops, oh shit, these are our guys. I must have charged with the wrong division. Sorry, mates. Get back here. Nobody gets shot to death. All right, it's really odd, their formation. They've got a long line of spread archers on our right, and then infantry offset to the other side. You don't see that very often. I like it. And I've mentioned it before, I'm starting to see more and more slightly different tactics from the AI that I can only imagine are from, updates from Tail Worlds. They are actively updating 1.3. For anybody who's curious, I can't tell you some of the things that I've learned. We are part of a community development Discord where they tell us basically some of the things that are happening, but they are on strict confidentiality orders. I've already erroneously, and accidentally, but erroneously broken that trust once with the early release of the stream. We won't be doing that again. You guys aren't going to learn any secrets from our channel here. I'm not going to be pushing even the slightest bit out in front like some of these YouTubers are. We'll let the other guys break news, and then we'll come in later on once I'm sure I'm not breaking any rules. All right. Now, I don't know if you can tell, but the enemy's got this archer division over here towards our right. We're going to attack it first, right? Your archers, your enemy archers should always be your target if you don't have to go through hell to get to them. In this case, we're just going to present a false front over here on the left, sort of pretend like we're attacking the rest of their units, but they're just going to stand there. I'm going to absorb some arrows here, and we're going to systematically destroy these archers. Now, what we're going to do here is a magic screen towards the front. So our best cavalry, we're going to just keep pushing it forward. We're going to move our 6th division, which is our best infantry and skirmishers. We will move them behind the cavalry in a shield wall, and then 2 different archer divisions that we will advance slowly. And as these infantry and cavalry move forward, and some of them will get killed, what we're doing here is exposing the enemy to more and more of our archers at once, right? We've got this huge glob of archers here. They're probably better off being offset slightly, but it's going to function ultimately, right? We can move these skirmishers and cav up. Understand, this is sacrifice. Your cav here is your proverbial bishop sacrifice, queen sacrifice here, right? We're sending in our best division with the assumption they're all going to die, right? These guys are going to get shot with thousands of arrows. But that keeps our archers alive, right? That's the most imperative part of this. Behind them here, we can move the skirmishers in, and look what's happening with their archers. Their archers are distracted by the cavalry. Meanwhile, our archers work, right? Our archers are now shooting, and we're crossing their T. Crossing their T is where all of their archers are just in a big, long line to our archers. It's hard to miss. And at this stage, right, the cavalry, we can kind of run them around here, move the skirmishers in on the enemy's flank. And these guys should be destroyed. Now, the enemy infantry probably is going to charge soon. We'll have to keep an eye on it. In fact, it looks like it's moving right now. So we're going to have basically 2 different battles going on here. And these are advanced tactics, right? Most guys are probably not comfortable with this. What we're going to do here is kite in... Actually, the archers are perfectly positioned. The AI is kind of heading towards our main infantry division. So we're going to pull back with those weak little 1st and 3rd division here, right over the edge of this ridge. Buy a little bit of time here. Why are we buying time? Because our archers right now are busy killing the enemy archers, right? We don't want to have to deal with both of these battles at the same time. So pull the 1st and 3rd back here. Let's see. One of the divisions, I think we'll just square. The archers have beautiful flanking fire, right? So half the archers are shooting the enemy archers. The other half is shooting at their infantry in the back. Either one of those is a good result for us. And these archers are still, sort of tenaciously holding on here, right? Our skirmisher line is working its way up, just like a dude at a movie theater eating the entire fucking 10,000 calories of red ropes all in one movie scene. Now over here, we can bring this weak-ass 3rd division in, right? The enemy's distracted. They're being shot on one flank. We've got this 1st division square pulling the enemy away from our archers, right? That way our guys can shoot them in the back. And now we can bring these this raggedy 3rd division in. They're going to suffer serious losses here. There's no way around it. The enemy has a lot of troops left, but skirmishers are tearing up their archers over there. And in comes the 3rd division. And notice again that it's opposite of where our archers are, right? So while the enemy is here chasing our square, they're being shot. And then our 3rd division is kind of eating up their back. You can see little peasants running forward in their finest bathrobe. Now, the enemy's got so many troops, it's still going to be calamitous losses for us here. But it's victory, right? The archers are all but dead. And our little 3rd division hits the line here. We can get in here and help, right? We're the mama wolf. We're going to knock a few of these troops around while our little peasants are down there. I see them swinging their little swords. There's guys in there with pitchforks. Get them, boys. And it looks like our skirmishers were killed. So it's our archers versus their archers. We can help out. They had a lot of archers this battle, right? This was, even though we applied a lot of exertion to kill these guys, they're still menacing us. They're still scoring kills, right? They just killed our surgeon, or at least dropped him. but victory, right? And hopefully we'll show you after this battle, hopefully our upgrades exceeded our deaths. Man, my character goes down every battle. I mean, he goes down more often than that girlfriend I had when I was 16. That was just acquiescent. Like, it's incredible how often he gets knocked unconscious. All right, Victor. It wasn't pretty, but this wasn't an easy fight either. A defensive enemy that outnumbered us with great archers and good positioning, and we still made it work. 70 deaths, 69 upgrades. However, look at who died, right? The tribesmen. That's good, right? That means our weakest troops, generally your weakest troops die, right? There's literally a formula for it. Here's looters. We don't give a shit about looters dying, really. So that death count is actually much worse than it looks. Overall, that's a positive net battle for us because get a whole bunch of upgrades. And again, I'll remind you, if you're curious why more and more infantry are sneaking into our army, that is because we are transitioning. This episode, maybe the next one, look at this, right? Normally I'd upgrade all archers there. We're going to go to the footmen because we're starting to form our skirmisher army. We're going to have 80% skirmishers or 70% skirmishers and then a smattering of archers. All right. So we've got to do more troop gathering, right? We really need troops, something fierce. We're going to have to go to villages. We're going to have to continue to upgrade equipment, right? These units, this guy here just dies every battle, or at least he gets knocked to the sand every fucking battle. So it'll be worth it at this stage to spend some money on him. If I can find some really nice armor, we're going to buy it, right? And of course, we're going to continue to upgrade piece by piece. I'll probably do a lot of the equipment in the background. You guys probably won't see that. Nobody gives a shit about upgrading each of our companions in this campaign. And even though some of this process we're not going to edit because I want to show you guys these steps, we'll probably edit stuff like that, right? Nobody's going to sit through 10 minutes of me filtering through the equipment. And I'll remind you, right, the mods that put all the best equipment on characters doesn't exist for this, right? It's 1.31. None of the mods will work. It'll just crash the game. So realistically, we could get peace here with either the Southern Empire or the Aserai, but we're not gonna. At least for one more episode, I'm gonna show you guys what I would do if, say, I couldn't afford to pay them, right? We obviously could. What an experienced player does. So, of course, subscribe if you want to see more. Please hit that like button, friends, and I will see you next time.